Hello and welcome to ET Future of Money. Banks in India have opened their application programming interfaces or APIs. And what this does is it allows third parties to build on them and offer innovative products and services. This cooperation between banks and fintechs has completely transformed the customer experience. And what is the potential of API-led banking? What more can we as customers expect? And how does this accelerate the growth of India's digital economy? I'm Miloni Bhatt, and to delve a little bit into all of these things, I'm happy to have with me Akash Sinha, co-founder and CEO Cashfree Payments, which is a payments and API banking solutions company, which is based in Bangalore. It recently got the go-ahead from India's central bank for cross-border payments. It's among the 4 startups that received the approval. Akash co-founded Cashfree Payments in 2015 with Riju Datta to solve the challenges faced by businesses in bulk payments and dispersals. Before launching Cashfree Payments, Akash worked with e-commerce giants such as Amazon and Bank Bazaar, where he built products as a software engineer. Akash, welcome to ET Future of Money.
Hi, Miloni. Thank you for having me here. Really excited.
Great. First of all, congratulations on getting the RBI go-ahead for the cross-border payment product. Can you start by telling us a bit about it? How does it work and what are the possibilities that it presents?
Right. Yeah, before getting into what solution we are going to build, I can just brief upon what problem we have been seeing the ecosystem, right? So in India, I think a lot of people are active in stock market, right? And so far, it has been easier for us to buy stock which are listed in NSE or BSE. But over the past few years, we have seen a great interest in a lot of Indian user who wants to buy stock at foreign exchanges, right? Like of NASDAQ, right? And I'm sure you have seen in your circle people excited about buying stock of Apple, Tesla, Google, and all, right? So historically, people were able to do it, but the process was very cumbersome, right? You have to spend a lot of time in KYC, currency exchange, right? And you have to do one-to-one transaction. So basically, whatever gain you make gets compensated by a lot of money you lose because of all this old kind of process, right? Due to currency conversion and all the operation process. So that is one problem we discussed with RBI, saying this is a big market being created and there's a good demand for this kind of product. So we are part of their sandbox program, which they had last year. Right, so we prepared a solution. We prepared instead of every consumer settling the fund directly, we as an aggregator can pull the fund in India and settle to one broker in any foreign exchanges which they're based out of, and this will reduce the entire turnaround time, and also the foreign exchange fee will be very optimized. Right, so the best part is coming to solution. Once I think after the approval, any consumer finance app or any wealth management app can use Cashfree Payments in the backend. And consumer will be seamlessly able to buy any of the foreign stocks, which are listed in those foreign exchanges. So that's the approval, and this is the first time going to happen in India. This was not allowed before, so we are very excited. I think we are going to go live with 3 or 4 exchanges very soon. Right, given that the approval came just last week, we are getting prepared, and we are hopeful of the getting good traction out of this approval.
Can you tell us a little bit about the platforms, the exchanges that you're going to work with?
See, there are 4 to 5 under integration. I think these are again very popular, wealth management apps. So once they go live, I think we'll be in the position to share it. I think right now they're under integration, so we don't know.
Not even a little bit of a hint.
We don't know the timeline honestly, but I think we can share it in in next few weeks. These are the top wealth management apps in India.
But Akash, tell me in terms of timeline, what is the broad timeline that you're looking at for this integration?
I think few weeks to a month. I think given that we already did a test transactions, we did around few hundreds of transactions during the sandbox itself to show this flow works. Right, so all the integration is in place. We are waiting for the go ahead from RBI for larger mainstream rollout. Now that approval is there, we are getting all these partners ready. Again, we don't know their priorities, right? That's why it's harder for us to comment. So there will be few ones going live, but again, also depends on their roadmap, their consumer outreach, and what plans they have for them.
When you did do this test, how did it go? And how do you see this market essentially?
See, the test we did jointly with RBI. So we have defined a test scenarios like what to test, how to test the flow of money. So that was a joint exercise. And this market is growing, right? In the retail market, especially the urban consumer, right, who get excited about all this. Because they're right, if you want to grow your wealth, right, one avenue is you can go to Indian market, buy equity there. Second is you can also go to the global market, buy equities there. And that way, a lot of Indians can, be able to grow their wealth of whatever the savings they are making. It just creates more avenue, right? So now you have more options. Instead of just sticking with one exchange, you can go to any global exchange and try it out.
So cross-border payment, of course, is one way that you're expanding your product range and your market,
Right.
and so on and so forth. But you also want to expand internationally. Is the goal to reach 15, 18 countries over 2 years? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. So cross-border, I think we discussed about LRS capital account transaction. In cross-border, we're also doing LRS current account transaction. Basically, we're also helping a lot of these platforms, like send education fee payment from India to abroad. Right. We're also going to start doing some kind of, medical kind of, like remittances and all those things. So cross-border is a big space for us, and we're going to go very aggressive on that.
Okay.
Along with it, so I'm coming to that. Along with it, the international launch plan, I think, is in parallel to it, right? I think, because India is pretty ahead in terms of fintech game, right? The kind of solution we have built is state of the art, not just in India, also globally, right? And the kind of scale we have in India is unique, right? So Cashfree as a company, we process more than 1.5 million transactions daily for one single merchant, right? So that is the kind of a scale you cannot find anywhere in the world so easily. Right. So by doing such kind of use cases, the platform are very scaled up, well tested, and the kind of products we built are very innovative, right? So we explored the market, and we believe there's a good opportunity for us to take this product, go into those geographies which are slightly behind India, and also serve those local markets with all these innovative products, right? So the larger
So
target.
which are these markets?
Yeah, so we are looking at largely emerging markets, right? Like markets in Southeast Asia, Middle East, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. So that is the area we want to cover in next 2 to 3 years. We already made one acquisition in Middle East last year, and we are very active in Southeast Asia right now. So hopefully, if things go well, we can come back with the news about that very soon.
So you're looking at such kind of partnerships via M&A for you to be able to foray into all of these places?
Largely, yes, because payments, fintech is a regulated space.
Yeah.
Right. And we also don't have a lot of local operating experience, right? So we are looking for a team who already have experience of running this business, so that we can have some kind of booster to get started with, and then we can help them with our insights or products, and so that we can roll out in this market faster.
Okay. Now I want to talk about the API-led banking. Banks and financial services are going digital, and that's put the spotlight on API banking, of course.
Correct.
But from your vantage, what does the future look like? What are the new products that you see emerge?
Yeah.
Definitely shifting the way, we are going to consume services and products, even in the way that they are being distributed.
Correct.
And I think the moot here is at the end, how do you improve accessibility for underserved?
Right. See, if you look at the entire fintech pattern, right, both payments and banking are either becoming invisible or being bundled with some other services, right? Say if I'm, like using some kind of, like bill payment website, I also have an option to create my bank account there, right? So that is the kind of flow we are going to see in the future. And for that, these APIs are very, like important, right? There's no other way to do this kind of flow. So that's the direction the entire market has taken, right? So people will stop going to one single application just to banking or just to payments, right? So these are going to be like integrated services with the app they use, right? Example, suppose I am a teacher based out of tier 2-3 city, and I'm using my app to schedule calendar for my students, right? So most probably that app can also help you manage your earning, right? They can help you collect money from your, the parents of the students. Although that app can also help you with some kind of lending, some kind of, like investment product, right? So one single app can help you do banking plus your regular job that you want to do. Right? So that is the future. I think we'll stop seeing payments banking as a separate from the core app which people use, and things will be very integrated, and the entire experience will be very contextual for all these users, right? So suppose a teacher, just example, right? Hypothetically, suppose a teacher is saying, there will be holiday season. The app can suggest, right, for next 3 months, your earning is going to be low and you should focus on your saving, right? So such kind of flow would be impossible if you don't have, both the businesses talking to each other, right? So those analytics can be done if you're banking plus other data with it, or if your payments or some other data, on the single application. And this will enhance the entire experience for the users who are going to use such kind of like integrated apps for their work.
Do you see this as creating monopolies, Akash?
How no, right? This is going to create so many good, healthy competition in the market. Monopolies are created when you have like 4 to 5 defined areas to go and access banking, right? But when you say anyone can integrate banking payments with their app, right? So it is more like democratizing the accesses to it. So this is going to give more options in the hands of user and increase the entire competition among all the banking and payment service provider eventually.
Yeah. So what are the challenges for players such as you?
Challenges not as challenges. We are the ones who want to enable it, right? So today, what we see, suppose you are building an app. Same example, right? Suppose you are building an app for a teacher, and you want to integrate, say, fixed deposit kind of application as part of it, right? So every end of the day, you want to nudge teacher, right? Why don't you do fixed deposit of like 1 lakh rupees and get some money? Not to do that, this application, this app user, or this app company has to go and work with banks directly, right? And working with one single bank takes a lot of time. They have to spend 3 to 4 months in integrating their APIs. And if they have to do with 4 to 5 banks, it will take around 15 to 18 months. So that is a lot of time investment for all these regular apps to do it, right? So what Cashfree is trying to do, we're trying to create a platform which will aggregate APIs of all these major banks. And all these third-party developers, neobank, a platform, they can just integrate Cashfree API and go live with their banking products within weeks. So that way, this entire banking payments democratization could be done much more faster in the ecosystem compared to the way it happens right now. So today you have to invest 6 to 9 months in just creating a basic banking product, and sometimes that may not be a core offering, right? That could be one of the offering to improve experience. So that's why we want to create the platform so that the entire creation of banking and embedded payments and banking could become easier in the market. So
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yes, we have been doing this. I think we launched a product called Accounts last year, through which anyone can create bank accounts by calling the API. So we are working on other product like card paying, something around lending. We'll also work on fixed deposit or things around investment. It's a very big charter we are pursuing. So we're just getting started just on the surface. I believe once we're ready with the entire platform for all the products, then we'll see a lot of newer banks and different kind of platform able to create embedded banking experience much more easier way for their users.
So you mentioned accounts, right? How is that working out?
It's working out good. I think we have around 10 beta customers using that already, right? So be it both on the SME space, consumer space. So we're seeing good traction. Given that product is new, we also have to keep on refining it depending on the market feedback. But we see a good demand for this kind of product, right? So especially in the segments like lending or accounting.
So open banking as a service, it offers a lot of opportunities for fintechs, for banks, But of course, there are concerns, privacy, security. So in terms of regulation, do you feel there is anything particular from your vantage that is needed?
So we have been pretty vocal about it, right? So to create, to have more aggressive rollout of fintechs, I think it's high time we should start recognizing larger fintech intermediaries, and on top of which smaller fintechs can be developed. And this larger fintech intermediaries, or we can call super fintech, they can take a bit of load away from the bank, right? Things around data, accessibility, privacy, and so that can enable creation of more fintech. So we have been speaking about it. We also pitched this idea of regulating this kind of super fintech, which can make this entire accessibility of banking services much more easier for larger market. Right?
So you're essentially saying, Akash, sorry, bear with me, that then there are two sets or multiple sets of regulations for super fintechs and then for the other ecosystem.
So today the entire ecosystem working on bank and fintech partnership, right? One bank is working with fintech. Now it's getting difficult for banks to work with all kinds of fintech, and also difficult for banks to work with large number of fintechs, right? Because the kind of services the banks have are not modular. Right? So banks don't have some kind of like tiered use case, right? Either banks open all of their APIs to fintech or they don't give anything. But if the bank create a layer in between them, right? If they create a super fintech layer, then super fintech can have some kind of like access. It's like a middleware, right? And now it can give a tiered access to the other fintechs in the market, right? It's more like getting a very big box from a say larger company and creating a smaller boxes out of it and give access to just one smaller box depending on the use case. Like example of this again, be a teacher neobank, right? For a teacher neobank, they just need access to fixed deposit API. Right? They shouldn't have access to account creation API or card issuing API, right? But for a bank, it's difficult for them to restrict access to all these APIs. And that's where you see a bank has to spend a lot of time in vetting every new fintech and deciding whether to give them access or not. But if we have a layer of super fintech in between, then it becomes very easier for us to just give the access to API which they need and block access to other APIs which is not part of their business. So it's high time, I think, maybe the entire ecosystem can look at regulating this kind of intermediary, right? So that more fintechs can be created and things are done in a more structured, disciplined, and a secure way.
Any feedback to your suggestions?
It's pretty new. I think we've been talking about it for a few months. So let's see. I think we had a white paper release, I think 2 weeks back in Bombay around how retail banking or how APIs can increase the access to retail banking. Pretty new idea. So we are talking to regulator, policymakers.
Is there any geography where this is done?
Geography. So see, in other countries, right? I think neobanks, digital banks are getting licensed right away, right? So this kind of structure, I think, may not be needed, may not be feasible. Right? But there are few examples, right? So in US, you have Played, who is like licensed entity. See, in other parts of the world, fintechs are getting licensed, for a long time, right? In India, it just started. So in India, banks have the license to do many things. Fintechs are not getting licensed for a while. So it's not easy for me to compare these markets. And the number of fintechs in India is also large.
Right, compared to many other countries. Right. You were among the 200 odd fintech companies that submitted proposals seeking the approval for a payment aggregator license to RBI.
That's correct.
Right. And, there are, of course, some fintechs have received in principle nod on it, and there is this whole point that, that firms approved by RBI can acquire and offer payment services to merchants, and then this will enable, say, a more regulated, a more standardized payments ecosystem. What are your thoughts on it?
See, payment aggregators entities have been around for the last 10, 12 years. And we have been working very closely with the banks and adhering to their guidelines. And also there was master direction by RBI. But of late, RBI planned to regulate these entities directly instead of going via bank. And that's why this entire licensing requirement has come in. Right. So again, we are pretty confident getting it. I think we have been in business for the last 7 years. And we have been getting approval from RBI on all these innovative products. Right. So I think we have submitted application a few months back. And I believe they're processing in a first come, first serve order. So,
and do you think this will make for a more secure payments ecosystem?
Could be. So see, I mean, what is happening in the industry, right? People who are into business, say, they believe, what, I have good customer, then I can also start payment gateway business, right? So people who have not been, making payment gateway as a prime business, they were still part of this business, right? The problem is that hurts the entire experience of merchant and consumer end of the day. It's important for businesses or companies to make payment aggregation as the primary business. And that I think will be clear once the licensing thing gets finalized, right? I'm sure I think companies who have this as a priority, right, who wants to build great things around payments and banking are the ones who are going to stay around. And companies who are just, like experimenting around it, they may have to partner with it, or they have to put more focus area on this kind of space. So this is more like, regulating it in for a good way, right? So that the money of merchants and consumers stay safe. The entire trust of the ecosystem grows, and then many consumer businesses will start using online payments, right? So it's like a cycle, right? If you increase trust, then you'll have more actors on the entire ecosystem. And that I hope, right, will be the outcome of this entire exercise.
There's this other thing, right? Like India is supposed to have 1 billion smartphone users by 2026. There will be internet-enabled devices in the rural market, and there is this BharatNet program, right, to fiberize all villages by whatever 2025. From your vantage, as someone who's had the first mover advantage within this ecosystem, how do you see this as further changing the landscape when it comes to digital payments in India? And what is the kind of scale when it comes to opportunities that you see emerge?
Right. See, first of all, right, when you compare Western countries with India, right, India is not a homogeneous country. There is a humongous amount of diversity, right, be in terms of language, be in terms of income group, be in terms of age. Right. So we'll have consumers coming to digital ecosystem in batches. Right. It cannot happen that everyone will come together. Right. So far we have been able to get consumers from urban cities, tier 2, tier 3, like as part of the entire digital ecosystem, right, in a certain way. But the next set of, say, 200 million, 300 million people will come, through different areas that we don't know, right? That only time will tell. Right? So internet is the primary need. I think even today, right, we have more than 600, 650 million people using internet in India. That itself is a pretty large number. Right, and that's where the entire innovation around fintech is needed, right? So instead of just doing vanilla payments, vanilla banking, if they can part of a larger app or can make embedded payments and banking, then that is one way to increase the use case or increase the usage of digital ecosystem in India. It may not happen with directly going and saying, you know what, this is my core banking app, use it. Right? So a lot of people may not see value in it, but if you bundle it with something which they like or use it, then the usage of core banking, core or digital payments will grow in those markets.
Akash Sinha, all the best for everything that you want to do ahead, especially your foray into international markets, the payment aggregator license that you hope you'll get. And thank you so very much for speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very nice speaking here.